Hello and welcome to episode of the Bubbs on Sports podcast. Today is Thursday, June 1st. Hope everyone's having a day so far and had a good rest of their day yesterday. It is in fact Thursday, June 1st here today. It is the first day of June. May is now behind us. We are in full swing of the baseball season as we are now 2 months in. April is done. May is done. And now we strap in for an exciting month of June. All-Star voting is now open. That's always a good benchmark as to where we are in the MLB season. Once All-Star voting, begins, you get the entire June to vote, and then, obviously mid-July, you'll get the Midsummer Classic in Seattle this year, which should be a lot of fun, always exciting. The Home Run Derby, obviously the All-Star game itself and all the off the field stuff too, with the red carpet show and all that great stuff. So it's always an exciting time of year. All-Star voting is open, so if you haven't voted already, definitely go vote. You can vote, I believe, up to 5 times every day. So get your favorite players to the Midsummer Classic. I voted yesterday. I voted Torres, Judge, and Rizzo from the Yankees. So that's who I voted. I voted Bader too. That's what I did. So I'll vote again, or I might have voted Bader. I don't know. I don't exactly know, but definitely go out there and vote and get your favorite players to the Midsummer Classic in Seattle this year, the 2023 All-Star Game. So that's open. We got a lot to get to today. It's going to be a little bit of a shorter podcast. We're going to get to one main topic here. We're going to talk all things Yankees and Mets. We'll start off today talking about the Yankees. They take 2-3 in Seattle. It was a rough night last night. One of those games where it's going to happen over the course of 162. You're going to have nights where you put up 30 runs in 3 games like the Yankees did, and then you don't score a run in 10 innings. So it was a tough loss. It was one of those losses where you, again, scratch your head, and it's like, man, how do you score 30 runs in 3 games and then not manage to put 1 run up against Seattle in the final game of a 3-game set? Clark again pitched well. Yankees couldn't give him much run support, so that's unfortunate. Yankees lose 1-0. They now head to L.A. to continue their West Coast trip. Starting tomorrow, Friday through Sunday, 3-game set against the Dodgers. Super, super excited for that series. Going to be absolutely awesome. So looking forward to that. Mets today finished off a sweep against the Phillies, so we'll get to them as well. And we'll get you ready tonight as well for Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Heat Nuggets in Denver. Game 1 of the 2023 NBA Finals, 8:30 Eastern, ABC. Should be a good Game 1. Looking forward to it. And we'll see what Jimmy Butler and the Miami Heat can do as they just are fresh off of a Game 7. It's going to be interesting to see how both teams come out. Nuggets, a team that's had a long layoff. Heat, a team that were up 3-0. They lost 3 straight. Emotional, solid, really big victory. A lot of emotions going on in the series. You get the big victory on Monday to close things out against Boston. In Boston, you've now had 2 days off. Do the Heat come out with a little bit more energy, the fact that they've just played? Or do you get a Nuggets team well-rested come out with more energy? And we talked about this last year. It's similar to when the Rangers played the Lightning. Rangers had that really high-emotion series against Carolina, went to 7 games. They fell down 2-0. They got all the way back, won in Game 7 against in Carolina against the Hurricanes. They played Tampa, who was off for weeks because they swept. They got Tampa early on, first 2 games. Rangers were the quicker team. They were the faster team. Because they played. They were still fresh. Tampa kind of got not tired, but they were a little slow. They were a little sluggish, a little rusty. So how does that play here in the NBA? Are the Heat going to come out with more energy, the fact that they've just played 2 days ago? Or is it going to be a well-rested Nuggets team that maybe gets a Heat team that's a little worn down? What are we going to get? So it's going to be interesting tonight to watch how that all unfolds in Game 1 of Heat Nuggets. So we'll get to that later on. But we'll start off today talking Yankees and Mets here. If you're a Mets fan today, you're feeling good. You swept the Phillies. You did exactly what you wanted to do. You did exactly what you felt like you needed to do. You sweep the Phillies. You win Game 1. Obviously, 2-0 on Monday or Tuesday. You take care of business last night, 4-1, and then you took care of business again today, 4-2 after falling down early. 2-0 in the first inning. Mets got the job done with some big hits late in the game, and they sweep the Phillies. So after a really rough road trip where you lose 2-3 against Chicago and you lose 2-3 against the Rockies, 2 teams that, when you look at the Mets payroll, you look at the amount of money that they've spent, they should beat the Cubs and the Rockies, especially the Rockies. There's no excuse there why the Mets lost 2-3 to the Rockies. They got some really poor pitching. Their bats were fine, but the pitching was horrific. And they lost that series. So after a 2-4 road trip, you come home to open up a 6-game homestand, 3 against Philly, 3 against Toronto. A big homestand before you head on a road trip, 7 games, or 6 games rather, against the Braves and the Pirates, 2 solid teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how that all ends up playing out. But you felt like this was a series that the Mets had to have. 2-4 road trip. You come back home. You sweep the Phillies. You're now 30-27 on the year. When you look at the division, they are 3.5 games back of the Braves, so they're still in it. They're 6-4 now in their last 10, and they're getting above that 300 mark. They went into this homestand at 300. You come out, or at 500. You come out of this homestand. You're now 3 games up on 500, and a divisional win, divisional sweeps are always big. You now even push the Phillies further back. If the Phillies came into Citi Field and let's say swept the Mets, you're looking at a situation where the Mets are 27-30. Phillies would have been, 28-28. You're looking at a situation where, man, the Phillies would have jumped the Mets. So it was a big series in terms of those standing aspects, as the Mets now are 3.5 back of the Braves. So was a good win there. As for the Yankees, good series win against Seattle. They got the job done in the first 2 games, putting up 10 runs. And we'll start with them, then we'll get a little bit more in depth, too, with the Mets. But this is basically baseball. I mean, last night, sitting there watching that game as a Yankee fan, like, that's baseball. When you look at the last 3 games, as John Sterling always says, that's baseball, Susan. You put up 30 runs in the last 3 games. They beat the Padres on Sunday 10-7. They beat the Mariners in Game 1 at 10-4. They beat the Mariners again in Game 2, 10-5. 10 runs in 3 straight games, 30 runs overall. You go into last night, 10-inning game, and the Yankees lose 1-0. They get shut out. And Clark Schmidt pitched well. And it's like, that's baseball. You score 30 runs in 3 games, and then you don't score a run in 10 innings the next night. It's crazy to think that. Again, I don't want to sound negative. Unfortunately, that might just be the way this Yankee season. It's kind of the way this Yankee season has been at times, where the Yankees have had stretches of being this really good team, like we saw these last 3 games, and then they have those stretches like they had last night where they get shut out. They have 3 hits, and the offense was lifeless. And that's basically the most simplest way I could put it. Torres, LeMahieu, and Higgy were the 3 guys that got hits last night. Other than that, the offense went silent. There wasn't any home runs. There wasn't any big hits. There really wasn't any, the Yankees didn't have an extra base hit. They had 3 singles. That was the Yankees' offense last night. 3 singles. That's not going to get it done. Unfortunately, this has been the second straight game where Clark Schmidt's actually pitched well. We've gotten what we hoped out of Clark Schmidt these last 2 games. Not overall on a season, on a full body of work this season, but these last 2 starts for Clark against Baltimore last week, and in this week this start against Seattle, he gave you 5 innings, 1 run against Baltimore. And then again, yesterday he gave you 5 2/3, 3 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts. Probably was his best outing of the year. They didn't give him run support. That's unfortunate. Not what you want to see. But Clark's been better. His last 3 starts have been solid. He went 5 innings, 2 runs against Cincy, 5 innings, 1 run against Baltimore, 5 2/3, no runs, 7 strikeouts last night. Is he starting to find something? Is he starting to find a little bit of a groove? His ERA got all the way up to 6. It's now all the way down to 5.01. Still not where you want to be. I'm not saying Clark Schmidt's this great pitcher. He's still got a lot more. He's still got to go out there and he's got to put this together consistently. 3 starts is good, but you got to put this, he's got to have a really good month of June for, I think, a lot of Yankee fans to fully trust Clark Schmidt. But the last 3 starts have been promising. They have been. And it's just unfortunate when you get a good outing out of him and you're not able to convert. It's tough because those are the games you got to win. When you get good outings out of Clark Schmidt, you got to win those games. But all in all, you still take 2 of 3, and you're getting a lot healthier. And it kind of feels like today, now Bader going down stinks. It's awful. It sucks because he's been so good, and you're now getting really healthy now with Stanton, Donaldson, and Canely coming back. They'll be ready for the Dodgers series. The Yankees sent some guys down today, and we'll get into those roster moves right now. So today, following last night's game, the Yankees officially announced it. They optioned Matt Crook. They optioned Franchi Cordero, who only came up for because Bader was put on the IL. He was only going to be here for a little bit. Matt Crook was up here for a couple games, never even pitched. They threw him in the bullpen, lefty arm. He gets sent back down. The biggest name, obviously, that got sent back down was Oswaldo Cabrera. Look, I like Oswaldo a lot. I had him on my fantasy baseball team. I dropped him today, obviously with him getting optioned. Look, I think he's got a lot of potential. I like where Oswaldo, I like what he provides, in terms of versatility on the defensive side of the ball. He wasn't hitting. He was not hitting. Oswaldo was actually, when you look at the numbers, one of our worst hitters. And I don't want to sound too negative, but he was. He's got to go back down to AAA and figure it out. He does. And that's just the bottom line. I don't want to sound negative. I don't want to sound harsh. He's batting 195. He's got an OPS well below 600. He's got an OPS of 539. That's not going to cut it. He's got an on-base percentage of 246. He's had a really rough year. He started out the first, 5-6 games was okay. He was all right. He wasn't too bad. And then, he had that stretch 2 weeks ago, or probably about 3 weeks now, against that Tampa series, the 4-game series at Yankee Stadium, where he had a good series. He got the batting average back above the Mendoza line. And then since then, he really hasn't been able to hit. It seemed like he was kind of finding a groove, and then he just fell off again. And he's been just in a year-long slump. When he came up last year, in the 44 games he played last year, he was really solid. He had a 740 OPS. He had a 247 batting average, 312 on base, slugging at 429. Was really good. You liked what you got out of him. All the versatility. So far this season, it hasn't been good. It's been ugly. It's been really ugly. And I like Oswaldo a lot. He brings a lot of energy. He's truly happy to be a Yankee, all that stuff. But it was the right decision to send him down. I think it was the right decision. I think it kind of had to be done. I think it was just a matter of time. And now you look at it and you say, all right, obviously he's got options. You send him down to AAA. This isn't the end for Oswaldo. It's not like he's just going to get lost down there. Postseason comes around, other injuries occur, he'll definitely probably be back up, but he's got to go down there and make some adjustments. He's got to go down there, regain his confidence, make some adjustments, get back up, and go from there. Because the slide from what he did last year in 44 games to what he did this year in basically the same sample size, 50 games, is just drastic. Like, the numbers are so drastically changed. I mean, he batted 247 last year, had an OPS of 740. He's batting 195. He's got an OPS of 538 this year. His OPS is down about 200 points. That's really bad. So he's got to get it figured out. He'll be back up, and I think there's a lot of people out there that think he's getting optioned. He'll get sent down. He's never going to be back up. No, he'll come back up. At the latest, he's probably going to come back up during the postseason when obviously they expand the rosters. Because he'll still be on the 40-man, obviously. So it'll be interesting to see what he does and what his future is this season. But this isn't the end for Oswaldo. I don't think it's the end. And the Yankees obviously brought back Donaldson, Stanton, and Canely. So you're getting really healthy. You're getting a lot healthier. I mean, you basically made 3 trade acquisitions today when you look at it. Because Donaldson and Canely Donaldson's played, but Canely has yet to play this year. So he's your offseason acquisition that you made. He's yet to play. You'll get him in the bullpen. And when you look at it, Stanton, was obviously healthy and then got hurt, and same thing with Donaldson. Both guys, played a little bit, and then they went down and they've been out since. So getting those 2 guys back, obviously, I don't know what exactly Donaldson's going to do. Not a big Donaldson guy. I don't know what he's going to provide. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I feel like by the end of this month, if Donaldson's doing what Donaldson has done, probably a lot of fans are going to be calling for his head, just like they did with Aaron Hicks. I want to be wrong. I hope Donaldson plays well, but unfortunately, I don't quite know what you're getting out of Donaldson. What I do know is you're getting a big power back in Stanton, and you're getting a really solid reliever in Canely. And haven't had many lefty relievers in the bullpen. It's been a bullpen that's been very short this year. Been very thin. A lot of injuries there. Loiza's still out, obviously. Ian Hamilton's out now. So you've dealt with some injuries there. But some of these other guys like Jimmy Cordero have stepped up. Weber has stepped up in some situations. Canely's changeup and the way his changeup, when you look at the splits, he works really well on lefties. So you add him with Wandy, you almost have 2 lefties now because of the way Canely works against lefties. He gets lefties out. So, I'm glad Canely's back. I'm looking forward to it. I think Canely might be one of those more when you look at the three guys coming back, everyone's talking about Stanton and Donaldson. Canley's going to be a big factor to this bullpen. Going to be a really big piece. Really big piece. Just a high leverage, consistent arm that you can roll out and trust. So, good to see him back as well. Rodon hopefully back soon. You got Sevy back now. Hopefully Bader, it's nothing crazy, nothing major. Boone said a couple weeks. So, Yankees are getting healthier. Bader going down does stink. It does, because you're getting healthier and, you would have a full lineup. You don't quite have a full lineup just yet, nor do you have a full rotation with Rodon still being out, but you're getting there. Getting these three guys back are definitely big for this Yankee team. So tomorrow they'll open up the 3-game set against the Dodgers. Going to be an awesome series. I'm looking forward to that series. I've had that Dodgers-Yankees series circled on my calendar for a long time. That's been one that I think a lot of us are looking forward to. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a really good series. I mean, Dodgers obviously 34-23, Yankees 34-24. Yankees a team that right now is pretty hot. There's still 6-4 in their last 10. Dodgers a team right now that's 5-5 in the last 10. It's cooled off a little bit. Two teams that are in tight division races. Dodgers only have a half-game lead on Arizona, and the Yankees are 6 games back of Tampa, which isn't, crazy, especially considering Tampa isn't quite where they were at the beginning of the year. So it's going to be a fun series. It's going to be really fun. I wish Saturday's game included Garrett Cole and Clayton Kershaw. You'll get Kershaw on Friday, you'll get Cole on Saturday. So you'll get them in this series. However, you won't get them in the same day. Julio Urias being on the IL for Dodgers, we won't see him either. So the pitching matchups could be better, but you'll still see Kershaw, Sevy will pitch, Cole will pitch, and then Sunday, Domingo will get the ball as well. So those are your slated starters. Sevy tomorrow, you'll get Cole on Saturday. Sevy Kershaw matchup is exciting. I mean, that's cool. That should be a lot of fun to watch. Definitely. So, a lot to look forward to in that series. Then after that, Yankees have a 7 or 6 game homestand, 3 against Chicago, 3 against Boston. And that Boston will be on Sunday Night Baseball. This week's game will also be on Sunday Night Baseball. So the Yankees will get back-to-back Sunday night games. A lot of exciting matchups coming up for the Yankees. You got the 3 here against the Dodgers. The White Sox stink. They're not exciting. Then you have the 3 against Boston. And then you're going to have the 2 against the Mets, Subway Series. And then you go to Boston for 3 games. So the next couple series for the Yankees, exciting. You get 6 against Boston, you get the 2 against the Mets, and you get the 3-game set here against the Dodgers. And in between all that, you get the 3 against Chicago, which should be a sweep considering how bad Chicago's been this year on so many levels. So that's what's coming up for the Yankees. As I mentioned with the Mets, it was a good series win for them, good series sweep. They got the job done today. I've been talking about it today. I've been talking about it all year long. Today kind of felt like a little bit of a vintage Max Scherzer game. If you were there watching the game, it felt like it. 7 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, only 1 earned, 9 strikeouts. Mets get the job done. The bullpen, which has been abysmal, gets the job done. Brigham, Raley, and Drew Smith. Drew Smith actually gets the save. Raley and Smith combined for an inning. 2/3 from Raley, 1/3 from Smith. Mets get the job done. Canna getting hot? 2 home runs in back-to-back days. He went 1 for 2 today with 2 RBIs. And, Alvarez is obviously very good for the Mets. He's obviously been a really big piece for them. Nimmo had a hit. McNeil had a hit. Beatty had a hit. A really good series for the Mets. And it felt like this was a series that was needed. Because the schedule's not getting any easier coming up. It was a divisional series. 2 teams that were close to each other in the division. Again, as I mentioned, if the Phillies won this series, or if the Phillies swept the Mets, let's just say, you're looking at the Phillies and saying, okay, they're 28-28. The Mets would have been 27-30. Phillies would have jumped the Mets. So this was a big series in terms of that. Mets kind of, you felt like, had to win the series. They took game 1, they took game 2, and today, really, despite the first inning, Mets had this game. After the first inning, really, it was all Mets. They put up 1 in the 3rd, 2 more in the 4th, and then 1 more in the 6th, and got the job done. 2 runs, 4 hits, 1 error. 4 runs, 4 hits, 1 error, rather. Phillies, 2 runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Mets. So they'll now open up 3 against Toronto at home. And the Mets now are 3.5 back of the Braves. So they're not completely far out of it. They're not dead yet. They're not going to win a division. Braves are going to run away with it. I truly believe that. And the Braves right now are hitting a little bit of a rough stretch. They lost 2 of 3 against the A's. They split against the Phillies, so they are 4-6 in their last 10. So if there was a time to try and gain some ground in the division, it would be now, opposed to when the Braves are hot and stuff like that. So good series win for the Mets. I will still say this, though. There still are a lot of issues with this Mets team, despite just one series win. They got to get this bullpen figured out. I know it was fine today, but they've got to get a big arm. They've got to get like a flame-throwing arm in there. Somebody that can pump gas, throw gas, younger arm, guy that can just blow it past you. They don't have that right now. They're trotting out a bunch of these arms. They don't have that big-time arm right now. They got to find it. So we'll see. We'll see how all that plays out for the Mets. Camilo Doval is an option. We've talked about with the Yankees, Doval and Jock Peterson potentially a trade there for left field. So Doval's going to be an interesting name there from San Francisco. Liam Hendricks, who obviously has had the awesome story from the comeback with cancer at the beginning of the year. He was back. Just an amazing road back for him to get back on a mound. He's an option with the White Sox being such a, dysfunctional mess right now. So there's a lot of guys out there for the Mets to try and capitalize at the trade deadline. There really is. I will continue to say this, though, and I don't want to sound biased, but the Mets have more holes than the Yankees. I think this is clear. Both teams are going to have to be active at the deadline, but when it comes to the Mets, they're really going to have to get some moves. They're going to have to make moves. Might want to add another bat, and you might want to maybe trade away Vogelback, get rid of some of the dead weight there that really isn't doing anything for the team. And you're going to have to find another bullpen arm. And maybe another bottom of the rotation starter. You might. Senga was good. Scherzer was good. 2 promising things. Verlander's got to be good tomorrow. Really rough start against the Rockies. Got to find a way to bounce back. You need Scherzer and Verlander not only be healthy, but perform at a high level in that rotation. Takes a lot of stress off the bullpen if those guys each time out, back-to-back days, can give you 7 strong innings. It really does. Takes a lot of stress off the bullpen. So we'll see what Verlander can do tomorrow. So to close things out here, again, Yankees day off. Mets already played. So tonight, we'll be watching the NBA Finals. No need to flip around channels. We'll have my eyes glued to the NBA Finals. 8:30 Eastern tonight. ABC. Denver comes into this series and game huge favorites. And I've mentioned this. I'm taking Denver in 5. Or I'll take Denver in 6. I think Denver's going to win the series. They swept the Lakers. I think the rest is going to help. I think, I really, I know Jimmy Butler and the Heat are obviously the underdogs. They've played really well. They've, they were 1 game away from blowing the 3-0 lead. They got the job done, though. I understand that they're kind of that, I guess if you want to call it that, the underdog story. And they can easily come in and beat Denver and, Butler if he goes off and you get playoff Jimmy, all that stuff. I just look at this Nuggets team, and I don't think anybody's stopping Jokic. This is a guy that's gotten better as the postseason rolls on. He's averaging 29, 13, and 10 in the postseason. Jamal Murray's been great, 27 points per game. Jokic and Jamal Murray have been the best 1-2 punch in the NBA playoffs this year. That's been better than the 1-2 punch of Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. That's been better than the 1-2 punch of LeBron James and AD, better than the 1-2 punch of Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Better than KD and Devin Booker, right? All the 1-2 punches that were in this postseason. James Harden and Joel Embiid, right? You look at, again, the Suns with KD and Booker, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard and the Lakers. All of those different guys, and I know Paul George obviously, didn't play. So that's a little different. But Kawhi Leonard in the Clippers. You look at the Lakers and it was good old LeBron James and Anthony Davis. All those guys, all those 1-2 punches. Nobody really talked much about the Nuggets, and they've been great. 2 guys putting up well over 20 points per game. Jokic just below 30, 29.9. He's basically putting up 30 a game, along with 13 boards and 10 assists. That's basically that's what Jokic is doing. He's putting up a triple-double per game so far. He's been phenomenal. I don't think there's any stopping Jokic. I think the Nuggets win this series. I know the rest. I could see the Heat maybe tonight taking an early lead, getting off to an early start. Do they steal game 1? I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I could potentially see the Heat stealing game one just because the Nuggets have been off for a while. And you see teams when they're off for a while, sometimes it hurts them in a negative way than it actually helps them. So that will be interesting. Watch, though, for the Heat to get off to a quick start. Especially on the road, get off to a quick start. I could definitely see that. But I'm going to take the Nuggets here. I'm going to take the Nuggets in this series. Nobody's stopping Jokic. Nobody's stopping Jamal Murray. Give me the Nuggets. Denver, for the back-to-back years, gets a championship team. Last year was the Avalanche. This year it's the Nuggets. Who's next? Probably not the Rockies. Is Sean Payton going to get vintage Russell Wilson and win one there? I've said this. Denver and Florida sports teams have been pretty spoiled. Denver fans. They got a championship last year of the Avalanche. The Broncos, I know it was rough last year, but they got a Super Bowl in 2015, which is more recent than a whole lot of other teams. And Nuggets are a heavy favorite to win the NBA Finals. So you've had 3 championships in the last, whatever it is, 8 years, which isn't too bad. For having 4 sports teams to have 3 championships in the last 8 years is not bad. When you look at New York, it's been 1 championship in the last 12. So hasn't been bad. Philly too. A lot of people talk about Philly being this suffering fans. I know they suffered a lot with the Eagles before they got their Super Bowl a couple years ago against New England, but they were back in the Super Bowl this year. They beat New England in the Super Bowl. Phillies were in the World Series. The Sixers are in the playoffs every single year. I know they have painful exits, but they're in it every year. And Florida. Florida sports. You got Miami in the NBA Finals. They got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. Rays were in the World Series the other year. Or 2 years ago, whenever it was. You had the Buccaneers win a championship. You got the Jaguars on the uprising. They were in the playoffs last season. You got the Florida Panthers in the Stanley Cup. I'm probably missing. Dolphins are, they're all right. But in terms of championships, Rays were in the World Series. Buccaneers won the Super Bowl. You got the Panthers now in the Stanley Cup. You got the Heat in the NBA Finals. Florida sports right now. You look up and down that. They're doing pretty well. So, a couple states have got the sports teams right now having a high success rate. This year could be a big year for New York sports. It could be. Did the Yankees pull off 28? Did the Jets and Aaron Rodgers get number 2 for Rodgers and the Jets? There could be a lot of excitement coming up there, too. So, I'm not trying to act like a Debbie Downer on New York sports because there is a lot of excitement, but you look at some of these other sports cities, they've done pretty well. Done pretty well so far. So, Nuggets. I don't know if I take Nuggets in 5 or 6. I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think the Heat win 1 game. I'm going to say it's so tough because my gut tells me 6. My gut tells me 5, but I feel like it's going to be 6 because, I don't know, I could potentially see the Heat taking a game tonight. I could see it because the Nuggets have been rested. They could come out a little slow and sluggish. I could potentially see it. Now, if the Nuggets come out tonight and are because I think the Heat will probably steal a game automatically at home in Miami. That's why I don't think it's going to be a sweep. I think they'll probably steal a game. It's a matter if they can come out tonight and potentially get the Nuggets sleeping a little bit from this long break. You win that, you win a game in Miami. Other than that, it's going to be all Nuggets. So, taking the Nuggets. I'll tell you this. The Nuggets win tonight, Nuggets in 5. If the Heat win tonight, Nuggets in 6. The Heat win next game, Nuggets in 7. Taking the Nuggets either way. Unless if the Nuggets fall in a 3-0 hole. Because this Nuggets team's just unstoppable right now. Let's just tell you it is. So, I'll be back tomorrow. Thanks again to all those who joined me on the live stream yesterday. Really appreciate it. We'll have more of those throughout the summer months here. As we get closer to July and stuff, we'll have a lot more of those. I plan on a couple weeks during the summer every day doing live stream. And I'll post maybe some videos, but do a live stream from Monday through Friday. Every day be a live stream. I plan on doing that, not every week during the summer, but maybe, 1 or 2 weeks. I'll also get into back into my kind of daily Monday Yankee show that I usually do, recapping the Yankees week and stuff like that. That's obviously been tough to do, so I'll get back into that. Probably really starting this upcoming weekend and throughout the summer. Every Monday I'll be having a live stream talking all things Yankees, taking your calls and questions. So stay tuned for that as well. A lot more content coming your way. So as always, I will see you all back here tomorrow. Hope you enjoyed it, and thanks for watching.